It's Clark and Perry on the case. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry do what it takes. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.
I think at this time too, I was taking lessons with James. So he was giving me a lot of, he's very into jazz. He's a great jazz musician. So he gave me some cool chords because you can notice that like everything's like a C sharp minor 7, which I would have never played before.
Right.
I would have played like a C, a G, an A, you know.
Right? That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then when you go up it, it's like, oh, this can be an A as well. And it's a really beautiful sounding A, and you can like add this to it. And I mean, this is your, if you're like into power chords, you know, sort of a thing, this would be your A. And I'm not great at barring chords. It's always been my problem when it comes to guitar.
Like, it's hard.
It requires a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And
you
like,
have to build it up. Yeah.
You do. And
And
really your
flexibility.
strength should be coming from your like shoulder and elbow. You should be pulling back rather than like just pressing and gripping.
Oh.
I know, and
That's what I've been doing.
that was my problem is pressing and gripping, and that's why I have shoulder issues because of it.
No.
So yeah, it's that like pulling back with your elbow to actually pull back on it, right? And then you really get it.
Yeah.
And I've always played acoustic. I do have one electric guitar, but I've never really had an amp that I can play with. So I know a lot of, especially incredible musicians in Lethbridge now, female musicians who are playing electric guitar. And I'm always like, maybe I should try because I probably would have a world open up to me in a way. But again, I do love the sound of the acoustic, and I like writing on it. And I can't always just pack an amp around.
No.
And to be honest, I can't even afford, well, not that I haven't made my choice to spend my money in that way yet.
For sure.
But one day,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get an amp. But now I play all these instruments, so I should really just get a PA system. So, you know.
And honestly, even just learning that right now that you've just shared with me, which is something I never knew, and it's like there's
it's such a nice chord just to play those two. Yeah.
And even just like the pulling back thing, like the technique of it, I guess, and like, is that empowering in any way to learn how to play an instrument?
Oh,
because
yeah.
I feel like to a lot of people, it's completely alien. It's like they would never in a million years see themselves or think of themselves doing something like that. But it has to be empowering in some way, shape, or form.
Totally.
I think, right?
Especially coming out of those like cowboy chords, because you can spend a long time here. And I still do, like often when I write, I'm down here. And now that I don't play guitar a lot anymore. Nick, who I play music with, he's usually the one on the guitar. He's way better than me, and I still fumble and stumble and end up in pain. So like when I do write on the guitar, it usually will be down here still. But I think now I have brought it out more, and I probably will. But yeah, once I learned like, especially like a scale, and like there's something that's super fun to play that he taught me was like a blues scale. So say you're playing blue like in a D, you can do a little like scale, and then you can do, or if you're playing in an A, let's say you're playing in an A minor or something like that. If you're playing blues in an A minor to an E, you can do some fun stuff with a scale. So you would start with like your ring finger on your A, and then you would go A, and then you would just move up and use your first finger on your 3rd fret on your A string, and then go to your 5th fret. So you're just moving up 2, and then up to here you would slide. So you've got that bum, 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 and then you can go up again. So you can go dun, dun. So you've got bum, 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 bum. And then you can keep moving up and go boom, boom, boom. So you've got that pattern. And for me, with guitar, shapes make more sense than like notes and like the theory side of things. Like I really need to think of things in shapes. That's how I learn. So, and then you can, once you get to your bottom, like your B and your E string, you have to go into the different frets. So you would use your different fingers. You use your 2nd finger and your pinky finger. So it's kind of a oh, now I went to the wrong place. And yeah, so if you're like just like soloing on a song, which was like, I really want to be like I really want to do some, sorry, I'm looking for my pick because it always sounds much better that way. I know there's one over here. I'm just going to move over here. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. That's okay.
I always really wanted to like solo, which I'm still not there, but it's fun to think that I can. And like if we're playing more of a bluesy song, I can. So you. So I find that super fun, and blues is a really good way to do that. For like a quick minute before the pandemic, there was a lady just down the street, and she played bass. We had a saxophone player, and between the three of us, we had this like little band. We never played out, unfortunately, but we just played all these blues songs, and it was really fun to do that because we could just solo and yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, totally. If somebody plays the House of the Rising Sun, that kind of song. I won't play it. But yeah, songs like that you can do them in. So
That's so cool.
How many do you want more songs? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, we got the piano
keyboard?
over there. Or keyboard, I guess.
The keyboard, It's again, I'm not a piano player.
That's okay.
I know some pretty amazing piano players. I would never want to call myself one. That's one thing that that's the one instrument though I'm like, as I get older, I can take some lessons and I think my body could handle playing piano. That's something you can like learn at an older age and be proficient. So again, this has some interesting sounds. So we'll just bring out
if I may, what is the most interesting sound?
Oh, there's some.
We can look at it after.
Yeah, we might want to look at it after. But I'm trying to decide where we want to be for this one. Hold on.
That's okay, and I know you're kind of focusing on getting the right sound, but I know like notebooks.
Notebooks
like
a big many notebooks.
Yeah.
I've got so many notebooks, and I'm like, I need to burn half of them. Like I have probably shoe boxes and shoe boxes of them.
Just lyrics inside or what?
Lyrics and diary entries and grocery shopping lists and like there's no order. Like that's the thing is I'm like somebody's gonna find these one day and they're gonna be like, oh, all these diaries of Victoria, and they're gonna be like, what? Eggs.
A song about eggs.
Cream.
Cream, that would be really relatable.
I think, so they're not all that especially great. I was like more of I would do like a daily diary. I think when I was in my 20s and in school, I was a little bit better at it. Now I do like 3 times a year. I'm like, whoa, it's
all this has happened.
January this, and the pandemic happened, and now we're fine.
Wow.
These snippets of life. But and then like I said, and then like some of them have like drawings that my son has done, and so
that's beautiful.
They're very, very random. So, and even now I'm like, I know I have some songs in here, and I'm trying to sift through many of them, and some of them are completely useless songs. Like I'm like, this is horrible, but because we're trying to write stuff right now with, but yeah. So I think I look like a mad person because I'm like, look at this book, look at this book.
I feel like that sometimes with my ideas and for shows and stuff.
Yeah, totally, right? You're like, oh gosh, I look crazy right now, but I know there's something in here. I know there's something in one of these books that has a tree on it, or a bike, or a mountain.
Awesome.
And I've resorted to just buying books at the dollar store when it comes to notebooks because I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy this beautiful $22 book and everything wonderful is going to go in it. And then it's grocery
eggs. Right on.
So buy the $2 one at the dollar store. Or buy one at your local bookshop.
For sure, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you're ready, what is this song
Okay, called? So this song, I should turn the modulation down a bit. So this song is called Your Work Is Your Weapon. And yeah, we'll talk about it after. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll try it first.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make it work. Okay. Okay. Halfway to midnight, I light the fire, calling on you up high. Hold my hand and shout out my name. Those before me, my DNA. Where do I come from? Where do I go? Isolated in this land I know. Give me strength and help me find peace. Stay by my side, please. Please. Your work is your weapon. Your work is your weapon. There lie you done. We are all one. Don't let division blur your vision. You will survive if you work side by side. We stand behind you. We can guide you. You know us. Open eyes wide. You come from love. You are enough. Hold on and enjoy the ride. Your medicine is within. Everyone wins and diversity thrives. Your work is your weapon. Your work is your weapon. There lie you dying. We are all one. Your work is your weapon. Your work is your weapon. Teach and plant the seeds. What humanity needs. Halfway to midnight, I light the fire, calling on you up high.
Wow. Your work
I just realized I did the 3 songs that all kind of end in the same fashion. But anyways,
really?
yes, like I took the first verse and did it at the end.
And did you at the end?
Yeah.
I didn't even.
I don't
hear
always
it.
do that,
You
but
see
I
that.
did in those 3 songs.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, your
Thanks.
work is your weapon.
Yeah.
Wow.
That song was like that was a song that was 2 songs that came together.
Oh yeah.
So that one I like I started writing because I was like sitting at home one night and I was like, oh, I don't know really where I come from. Like I know my mom's side of the family, but my dad's side of the family is a bit of a mystery. He was born during the war in Germany, but he's Polish. His mom is Polish. And we don't know who his real dad is. Like we've always got stories. She's told us all different stories of like like the dad is some Frenchman that like got a new girlfriend and left, or like we've heard, various things about who my dad's dad could be. So it's always like I've been a little bit of an orphan in that sense as well, right? Where I'm like, I don't know where I come from when it comes to that, right? Yeah. So it's kind of this missing piece. And that's why I wrote, I guess, the beginning of that to kind of like, it was like, late at night. And I'm like, I'm going to write this song to the heavens to be like, come to me and tell me, sort of, what am I here for? Why am I here? Why am I, or like, who are you sort of a thing? And like, what is my, I've always, the romanticism of like, oh, my grandfather was a musician or somebody, and that's why I am, or something like that, that it comes, in that way or something like that. But not that you need to know necessarily, but
I think that's a very relatable thing. I think there are a lot of people, right? Like, it's,
it's just kind of this missing piece that is like, you know, when you're missing a piece of a puzzle and you're like, I know it's somewhere. I'm just gonna sing about it instead of look.
Absolutely. So, and I think that's really awesome, because I think a lot of people, you know, they feel like they maybe wouldn't have the skill set or the knowledge to sing about it instead of look. You know what I mean? And so I think that's
so they might actually look.
But, you know, they might not find answers that way. And if they just try singing, they just try it, you know, and even by yourself.
Yeah, it's very healing, right? And that's the whole thing of it for me. It's like, it's a kind of a healing art, and, you know, I'll do it as long as I can, I guess. And then the second half of that song actually came up. It was like days later that we had just come back from visiting my husband's family in India. And just a couple months later, my husband's dad passed away. And so my husband had to quickly get on a flight and go back to India. And it was like just before the pandemic. So we were lucky he could. Both my son and I couldn't, because my son's passport was expiring, and we'd just gotten back from there. So we were like, you know what, like maybe we don't go, because it's going to be really annoying to have us there being like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? He had a huge funeral. He was a really known man in his community. He was a teacher. He was an incredible artist, like painting and drawing mostly, I believe. And he just like did a lot for his community. I always joke that he was like the internet before the internet came, because he like had this business where you could just like come and ask him questions like, where do I find this? After you retired as a teacher. And like you could just go to him and be like, where do I find a person to paint my walls? And he knew he could get you their number or whatever, right? So he was really well connected. There was like thousands of people at the funeral coming through their house and stuff. So yeah, and he was an artist for, at that time, and it's still kind of in and out, the south of India votes in every couple of years a communist party. So it's a voted in communist party. And I mean, just like any politics, there are definitely, you know, there's definitely stuff going on, and nothing is perfect. But his part, the southern tip of India, Kerala, is where he's from. And I mean, this is like a stat I found on the internet, but it is like a 99, I think it was actually 100% literacy rate in that area. And you do see quite a bit less poverty in that area as well. Like there's very well-educated people coming out of it, and education, especially to like people who are considered sort of the like lower castes or whatever caste, you know, like, you know, there's certain places in their universities and stuff like that where it's like, oh, we have this many spots for the people of like the farming caste or whatever. So, and they don't have to pay to go to university, which is pretty incredible. And that stuff that party has brought in, right? And like, you know, there's like rationing and stuff like that, which again, for better or for worse, in some communities, it's helped because they would have had nothing otherwise, right? So, and me coming from like a Polish background where I visited Poland when I was 17, and it was also just coming out of communism. So there was the kids, or the adults who were just adults then with small kids, they were super happy that they were coming out of this, because it was like such an oppressive thing for them. But then the older people were like, we're lost without this, because this is the people who like gave us gas for our tractors and you know, helped us run our farms and stuff like that, right? So again, it doesn't make me any, I could say I'm a socialist, but anyway, so he was an artist for the Communist Party, and I asked Shadat when he passed away, like, what is the meaning of his name? His name is Velayudin, which is what I sing in the song. And he says basically it translates as your work is your weapon. So it's like, you know, and it's a very sort of communist idea, right? Oh, really? So like, it's sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I feel about this song sometimes, but and when we play it, like if you look at With Hidden Noise, our social media, we do have it on there, and we got like a thick drum beat behind it. And I always use kind of the megaphone. I was right on the, I dabble in beatboxing a little bit. Oh, cool. I was like, I didn't want to mess you up. So but I was like, that would have been, that's cool. Drum beat behind it. Yeah. Okay, well, we can do a snippet of it. You want to do the chorus with some beatboxing?
No.
Now that he said it,
Oh, no.
do the chorus with some
Clark
beatboxing.
is like,
Just the
thumbs up,
chorus,
thumbs
just
up.
the
Oh,
chorus,
gosh.
just the
I'm
chorus.
on the spot right now.
I know. Sorry. I'm sorry I did it to you.
No, it's okay.
Do you want to start? You want to give me a beat and then I'll come in?
Oh, man.
I know. Now I
God.
messed you up. No pressure.
No pressures. No pressures.
It's not like we're live.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you go, maybe I could.
Okay. We'll just do the chorus over and over again. Okay.
Okay.
2, 3. Your work is your weapon. Your work is your weapon. Vela you done. We are all one. Louder down. Your work is your weapon. Your work is your weapon. Teach and plant the seeds. What humanity needs.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Wow.
Now we need a microphone for you.
No. Wow. Cool.
Oh, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah, it's kind of got that behind it. It's like got a good. I like the beat. I like the beat.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's a little bit of that. Like we talk about making a music video for it.
Yeah.
And I think it would be like more those. We're trying to get into places where we can do a little bit of videoing of just like blue collar work sort of a thing, or you know, people who are working hard, and I think the idea. I mean, I think that's the whole thing. It's like I wrote this song being like, what's my purpose? What do I do? And then I like almost answered myself. But again, it's like not to sound all spooky kooky, but like it came through like if it's like, well, this is it. Like just do work that is your weapon that you can, you know. And I feel like now, because I really struggled after kind of quitting acting, like when I was acting, and I still act, but it's more of a community thing. It's not like I do it professionally. And I think you could still obviously act and use it as your weapon. You could still definitely say things as an actor and do that. But I find working in the library in a school is a really incredible way to do that, because you don't have to follow a curriculum. You can just be like, oh, read this book. And this might change your perspective or make you have a new
Which
one.
is the whole point of learning, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, like when you mentioned like it's, you know, somewhat or part of the song came from like, you know, like communist kind of ideas, but honestly, like I first thing that came to my mind was the fact that like your work, you spend a lot of time doing your job, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so if it can be something impactful, for the better, right? Like, it's your weapon, right? Like
totally.
that is anybody's weapon. Yeah, like absolutely.
Yeah. And there's that sort of falsity of like, you have to love what you do and everything like that. And I get it. Like it's good to like what you do for sure. You should enjoy it. But on the other hand, it's like, that's a little bit of a sledgehammer, because we're not always going to love our work. We're not always going to love what we're doing. Like, I don't enjoy handing out textbooks and, you know, chasing children for them afterwards. But on the other hand, like, I love being in the Learning Commons. That's what they call libraries now in Alberta, in schools. But just the conversations you can have with kids and the stuff that they allow you to sort of bring up, like we do a little podcast club and stuff like that, and the conversations and the things that come up from that, and the debates and it's lovely. It feeds me. So there's aspects of it that, you know, you're just going to have to sort of push through. But then there's also just those payoffs where you're like, this is great.
I like for either any of the instruments or just singing, songwriting in general, what would be like your, you know, top 3 tips for people that maybe haven't tried it at all, or maybe have some basic knowledge of an instrument and they just can't see themselves singing, let's say?
Yeah,
like what,
I think just like fake it till you make it. I lived in Vancouver for a time, and I was working in this little cafe, and it was called Cafe de Soleil, which is now done. I think they like shut down a year or 2 ago, and it was this like incredible artists hub where you would just get like actors and musicians and poets. It was really big for poetry slams on Monday nights, and all these different people all together, and yeah, I hooked up, like I went off with like a musician one night with his like band of people and was like, I'm gonna come to the party with y'all, and you know, group of friends and stuff like that, and we all ended up at this party and we were all jamming. And at that point I never considered myself a musician. Like I could sing, and I sang in musicals and stuff like that, and I had, when I went to Sheridan, we had what was called pop class, which we would get up and like, you know, sing a song and stuff like that, but I wasn't a musician. And they like handed me some kind of a flute and they're like, fake it till you make it. And I was like, okay. I'm like playing on it, and like, I don't think anybody recorded, which was probably a good thing, but they were like, you must be a musician, that was great. And I was like, sure. Okay.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of was like, okay, like maybe, and it's enjoyable. Like jamming with people too is so enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's really, you know, I love sitting at home and playing, and but when you get with a group, like when I first started with this group of the Latin band group, and we all got together, like there's something so magical about that. And even this Crosses song, I brought it for a short period of time. We were hired for a gig, and I pulled in these 3 guys, and we had a band called Fox Kit, and we only had 1 gig, and like one of the guys was moving away. The other one was like, he really wasn't really interested in being in a band. He just, you know, was like, okay, I'll be your drummer for a bit. But like we got together and we practiced a couple of these songs, and we were all like, wow, like this is kind of a little bit magical, like, you know. So yeah, it was so cool. And like we did record something, but it wasn't in the same format. But I did record that night on my phone that we like first got together and did stuff. And I'm like, this is like, that actually is a better recording than the actual recording of it. But yeah, jamming is fun.
Yeah. So fake it till you make it. Jam.
Yeah,
with people,
play with people, and like play with
people
better than you. Like, you know, I know that's a bit of a cliche, but like it can be really hard to play with people who are better than you, because you're like, I suck.
That imposter syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm not so good. And I know for myself, like I get really shy, and especially guitar, my fingers get sweaty, and like all of a sudden I'm second guessing myself, like, are we in tune here? And you know, but yeah, if you play with those people who are better than you, you're obviously just gonna learn, and so, you know, you're gonna get that much better. So yeah, that's I mean, probably some of the best advice I got when it came to music itself is just, play with other people. Which can be hard, and was really hard in the pandemic, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right on. I think that is all the time we have for our jam session here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For sharing these lyrics and these words and these stories, and yeah, just for sharing. I'm sure it is deeply appreciated beyond Clark and I. Yes, I believe we will see you again for a gardening session.
Yes,
I'm super looking forward to that.
We'll go look at my really unruly garden.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. This has been the Windy City's Finest. I'm Perry, he's Clark, and this has been Victoria. Bye.
It's Clark and Perry on the case. Clark and Perry do what it takes. Clark and Perry investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's Finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.